if he can do anything, spit on you, shove you, like anything that's aggressive and touching you in a way that's not loving, you better believe he can pull a trigger.
A man who is capable of calling you a is capable of killing you. I am a firm believer of that. There were two times where he pulled out an unregistered firearm and threatened to kill me and himself if I left him because I was threatening to leave. The second time it happened, he pulled it out and I swung on him.
If there are signs of any kind of unhealthy relationship stuff going on and there's a weapon on the premises, just don't even.
Yeah.
Just be out, because it's going to happen. You just don't know if it's going to happen with you or somebody else, and you don't know how far down the line it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, beautiful people? It's your favorite light, M Boogie in this thing. Welcome to another episode of the Can't Be Broken podcast, where we are shining light on the darkness that is domestic violence and abuse. Welcome to the show. If you ain't never been here before, we got 3 goals: to educate, empower, and encourage. We are here to educate anyone who has never been in an abusive relationship. We are here to empower all of our survivors to stand up and share your story without shame, fear, guilt, or judgment. You are strong, you are powerful, your voice deserves to be heard. And to anyone who is currently suffering in silence, listen, you are not alone. You are not crazy. Abuse is not normal. Your feelings are valid, and despite how it may look and feel in this very moment, there is always a way out. Life is so much better on the other side, and we encourage you to seek support. And y'all know what it is. We about to hop up in this thing because we got to rise above these insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, and revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion the Conf1dence Way. Because we about to light it up. Welcome to another amazing episode today. Like I always say, because everybody's so amazing, I have another amazing guest I am so excited for you to meet. I'm so excited to have this conversation with. I know that it's going to be inspiring. It's going to be encouraging. It's going to be hard and challenging for some people, but it is definitely something that needs to be talked about, needs to be discussed, needs to be shared, and needs to be heard. So thank you for tuning in as always. This amazing, beautiful spirit, light, energy, all things awesomeness that is on the show with me today is an artist. She's just a firecracker, you know what I'm saying? Grabbing life by the handlebars, and she is going away with it. So y'all put your hands together for Val. Pew, 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 pew. Confetti, 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 confetti. Val, sis. Girl, how you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
You know, it's a great day to be alive. I am good. I'm excited. We're going to dive in. I'm so ready to hear your story. I know that your story is going to help so many people. It's going to open up the eyes and ears and hearts of so many people, and it's going to reach the people that it's meant to reach. So before I even ask you a question, do you have anything that's like sitting on your heart right now that you just want to come out with?
Not really. I'm just kind of ready to dive in.
Well, let's get to it. Y'all hear that? I don't know what you need to do, but if this might be one of those shows where you need to go ahead and have everything strapped down, buckle up, hands, arms inside the vehicle at all times. You might need a helmet and a chest harness. I'm not saying you do, but just in case, have it on standby. Miss Val, tell us about your life. Basically, because we already know that you've been through an abusive situation. Is it something that happened, one abusive relationship? Have you seen abuse growing up as a child? What exactly introduced you to this dark side of life?
So I grew up, some of my my earliest memories were involving abuse. So my father was physically, emotionally abusive towards my mother. Some ways probably in ways I can't remember for obvious reasons. But it was, so that was something that I grew up with, kind of just was normalized. And then my father then turned on the kids, me and my younger sibling, my sister. And then my brother never really experienced that, which is the whole cultural nuance thing that I was mentioning earlier. But then my mother kind of, I don't know, I haven't really fully grasped it, I guess, but like she became abusive too, physically, emotionally. So like it was just like that was my entire life, and it was normal. Like it was, and like any time that I would think that, oh well, I mean, but they love me, so obviously, like, and I understand that now that I'm older and like I'm smarter and I've gotten out of it, that it's not okay and it wasn't normal and it shouldn't be normal, even though it kind of is, unfortunately. So I on my 18th birthday, I left. I knew that I couldn't do it anymore. And oh gosh, this is like, didn't think that I'd get all. I guess that's what you were talking about too. But I left home on my 18th birthday while I was still in high school. I graduated somehow. And then I started going to community college, and that's when I entered my first abusive relationship. We were together about a year, and like looking back, it's like I feel like there are two different ways someone who witnessed or experienced abuse as a child can kind of go about relationships. It's either, oh, I saw that and I experienced that, witnessed that, so I am never going to put myself in that situation. I'm never put myself in that situation. I put in quotes, obviously, because I know the signs. I know, and unfortunately, that is a bit of a trap because it kind of shows up in different ways and you don't really realize it until it's too late. Or you can go the, oh, well, in like, I've been raised and conditioned to equate love with violence, with harm. And I kind of had like a mix of the two. It's like, oh, well, I had this like young arrogance to me. It's like, oh, well, I saw it and I know better, so I would never, and that's why I call it a trap. It's like you think that you're smarter because you saw it, but it's a completely different thing to be in it. And there are also a lot of things, like, for example, like my mother, my dad was normal to her up until they got married. I didn't see that. I wasn't there. So, and I know this now, but like I didn't realize that somebody could seem fine and even loving and perfect, because of course that's what they want you to think, and then later on switch up with the love bombing and the tiny little breaking down steps of breaking down your self-esteem, to where like when it actually starts, it's you're kind of like, well, it's like I saw this thing online where it said it's not like, oh, just choose better and avoid the red flags. It's no, there were 50 green flags and one pink flag, and then 100 more green flags. So, and like any like sane person, like, I mean, everybody has their bad days, and it's like hard to tell when somebody that's a pattern, that's a tactic that they use, or if that's just, and the only thing that will tell is time. So that was the first abusive relationship I was in. Yes.
Let me slow you down. We gotta
sure.
we can't go over the speed bumps now.
Sure.
So before we get there, let's go back to your parents, because there's a lot of stuff that you mentioned that I want to touch on really quick.
Sure.
So you witnessed your parents or your mom being abused by your father. And did your mom ever communicate with you after an incident to say, hey, you still need to respect your father, or hey, this is not normal? But, or did she even say anything, or did we just pretend like this didn't happen and we're going to hope it doesn't happen again?
We always knew that it was going to happen again because it was such a pattern. It was very, like, there was a lot, because again, like, I'm South Asian, like my parents are South Asian. So there was a lot of like cultural pressure to just kind of like I remember like when I was a little girl, like my mom would tell me, like I noticed that everyone in our family, the women were not significantly, unless we're talking about like my grandparents or something, they're like the man was always a little bit older than the woman. And I asked my mom about that, and I was like, what if one day I want to marry someone like a little younger than me? She goes, you don't want to marry someone younger than you because you want to marry somebody that you could look up to. And that didn't, even as a child, like that never like sat right with me, because I mean, I was being raised in the West, I was being raised in Jersey, but even then I was kind of like, that doesn't sound quite right. And like I had that a similar feeling towards things like the casual homophobia, anti-blackness, like just that rhetoric that was kind of just so casual. That was one of them, that you want to be with somebody who you can look up to, who you respect. And I was like, well, but they should look up to me too. Like I obviously I want to be with somebody that I admire, but what does age have to do with that? And that's a whole other thing. But she keeping the peace, and I feel like that's something that really sticks with me. And I think that's something that was also really triggering when I went public about the abuse of my last relationship. The whole like, I just want to keep the peace. Well, whose peace are we keeping here? Because there is no silence, and there is no peace in silence. It's only enabling and emboldening even. So it's not just keeping it as it is, it's making it worse, because you're letting the abuser know that, there are no consequences to my actions. And is he even wrong? Because I mean, like, he still has all his friends, he still has a wife, he's still, like, everything. So that's why, like, the whole, like, he didn't do anything to me. Okay, but why are you okay with the fact that he did that to me? So I think when all that happened, that was really, like, brought up some stuff that, like, because my own mother was like that. And it's like the person that was supposed to, the people that were supposed to, like, keep me safe and keep me protected were the ones that did me the most damage in the most impressionable years of my life. And I'll probably be dealing with that forever. But it was always like, but he's still your dad. Like, just because he's not good to me all the time doesn't mean he's not good to you. And then the goalpost kept moving. It's like, then he turned on us. And then it's like, that's just the way he shows his love. Like, like the,
wait.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute. Your mother told you and your sister your father being abusive to you is the way he showed love.
And I can tell you what she thought she meant by that, I guess, is that, we didn't use the word abuse. We used discipline. Beaddab is what I would be called. Beaddab basically means insolent in Bengali. And if I misbehaved, if I stepped out of line, if literally anything, if my dad was having a bad day and like he felt like taking it out on somebody, it's like, what better outlet than a helpless child who can't fight back? But that was like something that, like, again, you're teaching a young girl that violence equals love. If he hits you, or if he's violent towards you, if he hurts you emotionally, physically, that's just him. First of all, it's your fault because you did something to earn that. But also, he loves you, and he wants you to behave. He wants you to have a good life. He wants you to get good grades. So this is the only language that you'll understand, even though it's been proven throughout decades of research that it doesn't, and it has the opposite effect. But yeah, that's something that it was reiterated to me a lot. I remember there's this one time where my dad, like, oh my God, this memory sticks like so, like, this is maybe a little off topic, but I was 8. I remember I was 8, and my parents had like gotten into a huge fight, and my dad had hit my mom, and we lived in like a 2-story like family home. So she went downstairs, and I heard all of this, and I hear the drawer like slamming open and like utensils moving around. She's like, in Bengali, she was like, yeah, I'm just going to kill myself. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to kill. I was 8. And I remember for the first time, I thought, oh, you could do that. And like the person who introduced that concept to me was my own mother, which is, by the way, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yep, you're free.
And there are just so many like incidents like that where it's like I just, without me even realizing, they were kind of ingrained into me. It's like, oh well, this is a way to escape. If it ever gets bad enough, I'll just do this, and then I don't have to deal with it anymore. And I was 8. I didn't have any like my frontal lobe hadn't developed yet. I don't think any of my lobes had developed yet. So that sucked. And just like at least it would have been, at least I would have had somebody telling me like, hey, this isn't normal. Don't choose the life that I have chosen. Like, and I just didn't have that. So it was just completely normal to me. It's like, okay, I guess this is how people love each other. And also the other thing is in South Asian culture specifically, it is very looked down upon and like shameful to, express affection for your significant other publicly. Oh yeah, no, like
what?
Uh-huh. Like very like, oh, it's inappropriate. It's do that in your own, and like you got to think about it from like a kid's perspective. It's like, what is your understanding of love and partnership going to be like if the only like you're not, it's not acceptable to show love or affection, but it is acceptable to be violent towards each other. And my dad would also like just like comment about her weight. Like she was overweight, even though he wasn't quite there either. But you know, it's different when you're a guy, right? And that's not even like a fat shaming thing. It's just like, dude, like you're let's
you.
but yeah, it's similar to like when guys will like comment on my stuff. It's like, oh, no wonder you're single. Is it? And I could just tell that they've never like been near a woman. Like it's kind of like that. There's kind of a parallel there. But yeah, that really fucked me up.
So
I went to an Islamic private school, which did not help. Like I told the guidance counselor / vice principal about the abuse, and she went and told my parents that I had told her. And yeah, mandated reporter, all that, definitely broke the law in more than one way. But I was a kid, I didn't know any better. And I finally decided to tell somebody. And it was that. And I am a feminist, but some women have earned that title, and Sister Khadija is one of them. Oh, pisses me off. And
here's
like,
my thing though.
Oh my God.
About this. My thing about this is, even with you at that age, like people don't truly comprehend the fear that's behind sharing when you can't get out, or you haven't made a conscious decision and plan to get out safely. If I just go tell somebody this is what's happening, I have no idea if that information is going to get back to the person abusive. Even if you're older and you're in an abusive relationship or marriage, and you have the enough confidence to say, okay, I've got to tell the authorities. The authorities aren't necessarily going to do anything to get you out, but they will show up. And if they show up, they don't do anything to separate you two, you've only made things worse for yourself. And I want I just want to sit right there because I can't even imagine as a child having to be bold enough to go to someone and say, this is what I'm experiencing at home. I have no way of dealing with this. I don't know how I would deal with it if I could. And then only to go back and tell the very people that I'm telling you are abusing me.
Directly.
Abusing me.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, that's just.
And you can imagine going forward, like later on in adulthood, it's like how scary it was that it's like, what if I make the same mistake? I make the same mistake, and again, in air quotes, but like that school played a huge role in like a lot of my issues. Like I went there from the third grade to the ninth grade. And like, I think like a lot of students, like looking back, were going through similar things at home, and like nobody would say anything about it. And then I had to find out the hard way why that is because it became a point of gossip and just talking about like, oh, like, did you hear like the and I was a kid. I was told I started self-harming when I was 12. And I told the guidance counselor / vice principal at the same time that I told her about the abuse. And she told me, because there had already been a rumor going around that I was an atheist, which I am, and I was. But she said, you need to let Allah back into your life. Like, if you let God back into your life, you wouldn't have these problems. My dad is beating the shit out of my mother and my little sister and me, and other stuff too. And you're telling me that if I just pray more, and that's a whole other layer, but it is a lot of the cultural stuff too that played a role. Like the whole like men are superior, and like I don't care what anybody says, culture absolutely plays a role. Like it's not that, oh, it's not the religion, it's the culture. No, it's both. Like let's be honest. Like people cherry pick what they want, and religion can be a beautiful thing if cherry picked a certain way, and a very harmful and violent thing if cherry picked a certain way. And for me, obviously, it was the latter. And yeah.
Dang, girl. Oh my God. We can't even get out of your childhood.
No, right?
Wild. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you were growing up witnessing the abuse of your mom by your father, and then the abuse. How old were you when the abuse from your dad started coming to you and your sister?
I was probably like 6,
Oh,
at least the physical. So there trigger warning, I guess. But there was also like sexual abuse too that like spanned up until like I left pretty much, which is also it's kind of a because like when I was going to school for social science, we like learned about this stuff, we studied this stuff, and like my dad's not a pedophile. Like, because pedophiles, they're attracted to a particular group. So then he would have moved on to my sister when I got it. Didn't stop. So it's not even that it was like an attraction thing necessarily. It was just a control thing. And I think that's what like a lot of people also get mixed up. And this is a controversial take, unfortunately, but it's like based in like research, and like pedophiles are not necessarily child molesters. They're not synonymous. There are plenty of pedophiles that like they have like it's the part of your brain, the same part of your brain that like for most of us is activated by cuteness or innocence or anything like that. For them, that's the part of their brain that it activates arousal. And like that's such a sad, miserable existence. And like, and I cannot imagine like living every day feeling this way towards somebody and being like, no, that's wrong. And it just being like so demonized the child molesters are the, and not like the way that pedophiles are not all child molesters. Not all child molesters are pedophiles. The same way a lot of I mean, kind of a stereotypical example, but like priests and like people in church, and not just church, but other religious institutions too, how they like go after young boys. Like they're not gay all the time. It's a similar thing. It's like it's just the access, and I mean, who better than your own child if you want to have control and power over somebody? But there was also that, and I actually this kind of like strays a little bit from DV. Well, I guess not really, but I told my mom in the 5th grade, and like she told me that that's disgusting. Don't say that. Never talked about it again. And then later on, when I took my parents to court when I was 19, which is, we'll probably get into that, but she just straight up just denied that I ever told her. And maybe, I don't know if it was because she just pushed it in the back of her mind so that she didn't have to think about it. Because I mean, I know that I've done that. But that was also like, it's like, okay, so what's the point in telling anybody if I'm just going to be shamed and told to shut up, like, which unfortunately is what happened a lot when I came forward as an adult online. But yeah, that was also a thing.
So you're saying that your father sexually assaulted or molested you, but he didn't touch your sister to your knowledge, or you know for a fact?
Yeah, I know for a fact.
So it's just you.
Mm-hmm.
In the 5th grade?
I told my mom in the 5th grade, yeah.
Wait, you told her in the 5th grade. Did it happen before the 5th grade though?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like almost, because like I can't remember like exactly when it started, because it, like, again, those were like some of my earliest memories, but like I'm pretty sure it started before the physical abuse, because my first memories were of the sexual abuse.
That's bananas.
And he got away with it.
So he's sexually abusing you. He's physically
Mm-hmm.
abusing your mother. Then at some point he begins physically abusing. Does he continue to sexually abuse you and physically abuse you, or does he stop the sexual abuse? Oh my gosh. And that was happening all the way up until you graduated?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I started like not being home very much when I was 14, because I and so I was hospitalized in psych wards it was either 12 or 14 times. I can't remember, between the ages of 14 and 17 and a half, like up until like I was like the pediatric ward. And so I missed out on a lot of like traditional school, obviously, but also for 8 months I was living in a group home, like a residential facility in Passaic, New Jersey. And like, what was I going to say about that? So like a lot of the time I actually wasn't physically home. And I hate to admit it, but also like, of course I did. Like sometimes I would. I mean, I was cutting myself. I had a really bad eating disorder. I was trying to hurt myself, and but sometimes it would be like I would look it up beforehand. It's like like once I took like a bunch of Tylenol, knowing that there's an antidote for it, just so that I could be admitted and I wouldn't have to be home. Like I would rather have been in a psych ward in like a hospital gown and grippy socks, and no phone, not allowed to have sharp pencils, than be at home.
This is so tragic. And we're not even
That's not even what you found me for.
This is wild. But I'm so glad we're having this conversation because there are so many people who are dealing with this and trying to internalize things and manage it on their own, not because they're mentally disturbed, but because they tried to get the help. And when they did try to get the help, they were told they were lying. Nobody who is supposed to be there to protect them and care for them was there, but instead made them feel shame and guilt. So if you have nobody to go to, especially as a child,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go to the people who you were told were going to protect you. What else? What else do you do?
I looked up before I told my guidance counselors, like, who should I tell? Online, it said, tell your guidance counselor. Oops.
At 8 years old, you shouldn't even be having to have this kind of Google search.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't when I was 8. When I was 8 was when my mom like threatened to kill herself in front of me.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But that was like later on. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Timeline's crazy. It's a little blurry, but
So, but I need to get back to your mom
mhm.
because there was something that you said that prior to, so it sounds like y'all had a conversation. You said prior to her and your father getting married, your father was quote unquote normal.
Mhm.
So, how old were you when you had this conversation with your mother? And how did it go to say, for her to even feel, I guess, comfortable enough to share with you, your dad wasn't always like this, but this is how he is now. And this is how we have to deal with it because this is just the way life is going to be.
That's pretty much what it was. I actually didn't find out directly from her at first. I found out from my cousins, so my mother had gotten a restraining order against my dad, I think when I was 15. She finally had enough. Yeah, she went and she got the order of protection. She went to the police department, all that. She went to court and then she dropped the order. And I never really understood why. She told me that it was because, like, she just wasn't going to win. And even as a kid, I was like, I mean, a teenager, I was like, but I mean, there's so much proof. You have so many of your family members have witnessed this and seen this, and like, even if you hadn't taken any pictures, like you have more than. And I think it was more the fear of, and she had told me this. She told me when I was an adult, actually, after. Like all of that, like she told me that she was like they had been married like two decades at that point, and they had a nice big house, nice cars. My dad made really good money. Like even though us kids, it was kind of withheld from us, which is also, I found out very recently that that is also like a thing that narcissists and abusive people do, is just kind of withhold and not let the kids know or not let the family or wife know like how much money is actually there. But she told me, she was like, I mean, like I'd lose all of this. And I was like, you have royally up your children for life for like material stuff. Like yeah, it would have been hard, but there are resources, and I get that it's. And this is why, like, I made a reel a little while ago. It has an audio from 2641, the mom song. I don't know if you've heard it, but the text overlay is, as a woman, I have so much sympathy for my mother. As a daughter, I have so much anger. And that is exactly how I feel. She was a victim. She was also a perpetrator, and both of those things are true. And it sucks for everybody involved, except for my dad, I guess. But uh, she used that as an excuse. There was always something. It was, oh, we're staying together for the kids. Like I don't want my kids to grow up in a broken home. Just the typical, just and like I like obviously like as one myself, like I have a lot of um, empathy for DV survivors. It's a little it tends to a little bit when there are kids involved, because it's not just your safety and your well-being that's, and when you signed up to be a parent, you were a parent first and a wife later, or a spouse later. And it was just, husband always came first. And that's just like, it's a societal thing in general, but especially in South Asian culture. Um, and yeah.
Your mom, I can see, and I see why you say you can empathize with her. I can see why your mom went from being the victim to being the perpetrator. Because when I was in my situation, we had 3 kids together, and he had 2 before that would spend a lot of time with us. And what happens is the wife and the mother has no outlet. So
Mm-hmm.
being abused and trying to hide it, she has no outlet. And the frustration, like you're already so sensitive as a mother because the needs of children are nonstop. And you're just like, you're so sensitive, you're so sensitive to mom, like nothing about you is taken care of. It's always going to be the spouse and the kids, the spouse and the kids,
Yeah.
spouse and the kids. And if there just happens to be a little left over for you, then go for it. But in an abusive situation, it's the spouse, then the kids. And if there was anything potentially left over for you, it goes right back to the spouse. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I got out of my situation, I realized like could have treated I could have treated his children better, the children that I didn't have. There were things
Mm-hmm.
done that were been more understanding and more loving. I wasn't abusive to them. I didn't hit anybody or anything like that. I just know that I could have talked better. I could have had more patience. Well, I could have tried, in a healthy environment, I would have had
Yeah.
capacity to have more patience. But because you're in an unhealthy environment, your patience is shot. You're literally running on fumes. And I'm not saying this to make it sound like I agree with anything your mom did. I'm saying
Two things can be true at the same time. No, I get it.
two things can be true at the same time. I'm saying this because somebody needs to hear what's happening. I don't think it was ever her intention to redirect that type of energy to you and your sister and potentially your brother. I think what happened was she got so deep in the abuse that she wasn't able to, like, she couldn't manage her own emotions anymore.
Yeah.
You can't manage a grown man's emotions and your emotions for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would have stayed, how long it would have taken for that to happen to me, to be doing that to the kids. I just know that it's a possibility because you're not strong anymore. You go in strong, but they try to break that down as much as possible. Everything is your fault. You can never do anything right. Then you have the kids that are trying, like, and you're trying to stay afloat for them. And then it's like, well, you can't be giving all your energy, time, and attention to the kids when you're supposed to be taking care of me. And it's like, but you're not even doing your job. Your
Yeah.
job is to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am needing protection from the person that's supposed to protect me. So I see what happened. I can imagine what happened to your mom simply because I saw myself once I got out. I was like, I could have talked to them, a little nicer. I didn't curse. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
abrasive. It just wasn't the nurture that they needed all the time. And I didn't have it to give. You're barely
Yeah.
on. And so I feel sorry. I hate that this happened to you and your family. Like, it's just
Thank you.
because, and what irritates the heck out of me, which is what you touched on with religion. Like, I believe in God. I was in a place in my life where I stopped believing God. Like, I stopped believing in Jesus, but I still believed in God and the universe and everything. So I believe
Mm-hmm.
in God. I believe in Jesus. I have a better relationship with God now. I I don't agree with the principle, and prayer doesn't, God didn't, this is not the design of God.
Yeah.
And prayer isn't there to help you endure something you were never supposed to experience. It's there to have a relationship. So that's crap. Then
Yeah.
the other part of the crap is what you said. I get to pick and choose from the Bible. This was happening to me. There would be times where he would throw Bible at me, and it would always be how a wife is supposed to respect the husband, or how treat the husband and do and submit. And it was never like, never did we once go over the scripture that says how the husband's supposed to treat the wife. There was a time where we got counselors. He had to choose the counselors. Then he got the counselors that he chose. And when they got to that scripture, we don't have the counselors anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I? And this was at a time where I wasn't even believing in Jesus. And so they were saying, you're the leader of the house and you're the head of the spiritual world right now.
Right.
Your job is to be the example so that she comes back or becomes more attracted to the idea of Jesus and God and everything. And it was like he didn't want that responsibility. It was like, why should I have to try? You're the reason this place is the way it is.
Yeah.
They don't want the responsibility of being, they want to be the leader, but they don't want the responsibility of what leadership is. They don't want the weight. They just want to wear the crown.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that bleeds into so much more than just like DV. It's ingrained in so much, like the wanting to be oppressed while also wanting to be the oppressor, and not wanting to let go of that privilege and that control, and that just kind of just inherent by like patriarchy or religion, which I mean are intertwined, but like like you gotta pick a, like, you can't just whatever is convenient, but that's exactly what they do, and it's enabled by flying monkeys and like sometimes religious institutions, and if they're like backwards enough, like, and again, like I don't think that every religious institution is like this, but a lot of them are. Like I went to a mosque up until I was like 14. I was actually like, I was really religious. Like I wore the hijab and my mother didn't. Like I prayed 5 times a day, like everything. And it's off topic, so I'm not going to get into it. But like, there was a turning point for me, like with religion, where I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. And the reason that I kind of was like, wait, that is because of how devout I was, that I knew what the text said. And I was like, you're telling me to just have faith and not ask questions, but the Quran literally says faith isn't asking questions. So what, like, or hadith maybe, but so that's contradictory. So like, which one is it? And then I went down the rabbit hole and I was like, oh, this is fucked up. Like I'm not, and that did not sit well with my family, even though, because it's like, it's also like a lot of the religious text was, and like teachings were being used to excuse and justify certain things. So if they didn't have that, how much control did they really have over me anymore? And that was a whole other battle. Yeah.
I can't imagine. And you're still a child with this.
At this point,
burden.
Yeah.
You have literally every human soul that you're meant to be able to go to find out and feel love and to comprehend world, the physical and the spiritual as you know it, is completely failing you. Completely.
The first, so when the guidance counselor slash vice principal went and told my parents, she also like, I guess because she had to, she gave like a pamphlet to, I think it was Family Guidance or something, some program in New Jersey to get like mental health resources and stuff. And my parents specifically requested a Muslim therapist and this Egyptian woman. And then my dad and I went for the first time, and then I had my individual session. And I told her that, like, yeah, like my dad, like, hits me. Like, and she goes, well, honey, that's our culture. So what can we do to, it's just repeated, just reinforcement of that idea that, like, oh, this is your fault. Like, this is normal. This is how, and it was the perfect story. It's like all it would have taken was one, and I didn't get a single one till I was pretty much an adult. And like, I didn't even like tell anybody other than my mom about the sexual abuse because, I mean, obviously I wasn't going to. And like, I think I might be like a bit of most kids or like most people who go to as many people as I did, at least one of them was willing to at least hear them out. I did not have a single one until I left. And like when I was in the hospitals and the group homes and stuff, I wasn't talking about that because I already like understood that, okay, there's no point. If there is a point, it's just going to make it worse. And nothing's going to be done because I don't have any proof. I called DCP, like Children's Protective Services, and at the time in my head, it was like, oh, I wasn't smart enough to call when I actually had bruises. You can imagine that made shit a lot worse after that because then DCP came and they were like, okay, there's no abuse happening because she has a keyboard in her room and food in the fridge, so obviously nothing bad is happening. That put it in my parents' head. It's like the only thing that was really holding them back from really going in on me was the law. But that fear wasn't there anymore because see, she's lying, she's exaggerating, she has a mental health diagnosis. Where the fuck do you think that mental health diagnosis came from? It was just a perfect storm.
Oh my goodness.
Made some good songs though, I guess.
Bananas in pajamas is what's happening right now. Okay.
Right?
Okay. So your entire childhood was trash and you graduate somehow. And at the age of 18, you move out on your own.
Mm-hmm. So I couch surfed for about a year. I tried to get into the local homeless shelter, but they told me I was too young, even though I was 18 at the time, which I think they were thinking that like, oh, like we have like people who are like convicts and like people who are violent, people who are sexual predators, like, and this young girl is going to come into this co-ed home, like we don't want that responsibility. So they insisted that they talk to my parents before and I'm just like, dude, I literally have a court case against them right now. Like, I can't let them know where I live. Like, so then I was stuck.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you graduate. As soon as you graduate, you go to court.
So how that happened was I was couch surfing with a friend, and so this was after. So I left at 18. I couch surfed for about a year. Because like, well, okay, so actually let me scratch that. So that time that I tried to initially get in, they insisted that they talked to me. I had not filed anything against my family just yet. And I remember this because I was living in, like, my caseworker picked me up from the shelter and took me to court for this. But I was just like, I don't want my parents to know where I live. And they would not, like, unless they talked to my parents, they wouldn't let me, which, like, is insane. But I was staying with friends, and my mother found out where I was living. She told me that, and I used all of these documents in court, that she told me that, oh, I'm going to reach out to the people that you're living with and tell them what a horrible, like, kid you are. And like in my mind, I was a bad kid, like, because I went and told, I dishonored the family, like all that. So I got scared. And also she, and I knew that it was my dad. Like, it was my mom, but it was my dad. So I called the police. They came, and I think usually, I don't know if it's different now, but usually you are supposed to go to the police department. But I don't know why, but like they came to me, and I was just outside of my friends telling them like what was happening. And then I went down to the station, and they called my mom and told them that she is illegal. Also, by the way, on my 18th birthday, my parents called the police to try to stop me from leaving. And the police told them, well, she's 18. If you keep her here, that's a hostage situation. You can't do that. So I was able to leave. But yeah, and like at this point, the police department was already familiar with my family. But so with the court thing, so I went to the station, and I answered a bunch of questions, and then a case opened up with I think a juvenile, what was it, juvenile investigation, or it was a detective who worked in juvenile, and he was very concerned like about my sister, as like most people were, when I told them anything about this, but then they kind of closed that. But I filed temporary restraining orders against my parents, and I had a victim advocate in court. And we settled on a mutual restraint because I guess neither of us, and also my lawyer was like, it was a pro bono thing. So it's like, wasn't super experienced. Like she just straight up, like she told me that, I mean, I don't think she believed me about the sexual abuse. No, I know she didn't believe me about the sexual abuse, because she straight up, like, she told me after the thing had ended, where we like agreed on a mutual restraint, which is basically, like they can reach out to me. And no, they can't reach out to me unless I initiate contact, and I can cut contact at any point that I want. And I was like, okay, fair. And violating that would be grounds for a restraining order, like contractually. So I had agreed to that. And that was really traumatic, because I pretty much had to like relive everything, but it allowed me to avoid a trial, like, thank God. But it, like, the way my lawyer treated me, like the whole thing, like the detectives were really great, actually. Like, they believed me. They didn't immediately assume I was lying, like a lot of law enforcement has done. They were great. And I think part of it had to do with the fact that I was still so young. Like, I was an adult, but I was still young. I think, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I think Islamophobia and racism did help me in this case, because of the stereotypes about brown men. But in this case, the stereotypes did apply, so I can't be mad at that. But it, like, that definitely worked in my favor. But but I can't imagine like how many cases where it works against the victim. Um, yeah. That was and I still have that, actually, when I was trying to build, like, maintain some kind of relationship with my mother. I was very low contact, not necessarily none. But even then, like, she would bring up the fact that they had to spend so much money on lawyers for the case that they caused. And I ate it up, because I was still like, I still loved my mom. I still love my mom. But
I told y'all you were going to need a helmet. Didn't I say helmet?
oh my God, I can't imagine what people are thinking right now. It's like,
oh my goodness.
yeah.
Okay. We're only at age 19.
Right.
This is wild, very soft.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a lawyer who doesn't believe you, and she does the bare minimum, but at least you came to a mutual agreement that made you feel a certain level of comfort
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that if this agreement was violated, you had the authority to now put in contract a legit restraining order against your parents, which is
Mm-hmm.
bananas that you even have to do this.
Yeah.
This time your sister's still living with them.
Mm-hmm.
So did you and your sister communicate once you graduated? Did you still try to keep in touch with her, or do you feel like your parents were kind of brainwashing
So
that time?
so the reason that I had very limited contact with my siblings, mainly because I knew, and I think looking back, especially like sometimes my brother would call me and he would be saying very scripted things and I'd hear my dad's voice in the back. I don't think that was an accident. Like, I think that was very intentional to like let me know that I can't talk to my siblings who I love very, very much. And it also like it really hurt my little sister. She's only 4 years younger than me, and I started leaving when I was 14, so she was 10. So I just was never home, and whenever I was home, it was always volatile. So she kind of just associated my presence with just chaos, and that she felt abandoned, and I can't really take that away from her. Like was I wrong to leave her to kind of just be the punching bag pretty much? Like, no, but is she allowed to be angry at me for abandoning her? Absolutely. Again, like two things can be true at the same time. Like I abandoned her for good reason, but she was also abandoned, and that really sucks for her. She didn't have her big sister, and I can't imagine because I don't have any older siblings. I don't know what that's like. Like there are so many things that we missed out on like in those like prime years, and like all she saw from me was, and I was also like painted to be like this dramatic, and it was all it was all strategic the way that I was painted, because it's like, okay, well, if everybody already thinks that she exaggerates everything and she tells stories, it's like, well, then when she finally, like, it's kind of like how like a narcissist will start planting seeds of doubt in the people who love the victim, so that when they find it's like, well, we already kind of heard that, and like it's just so fucked up, and there's so many parallels to like what I experienced later on in life, which again isn't an accident.
Okay, so with that being said, how is your relationship with your sister now?
It's strained. So something that you had said before, where you were saying that looking back, like you don't know how long it would have taken, how much if you had stayed longer, like how much time it would have taken for possibly for you to become like worse in your treatment towards his kids. Um, I I'm very grateful that I left when I did, because as soon as I left home, I very quickly realized that, oh, I like healthy people don't communicate or operate in the world the way that I do. It's like I've been raised for the last 20 years where the only effective form of communication to get your needs met is manipulation, and like just kind of just taking advantage of people. And I mean, it's the way I survived. I don't regret it at all, but I was an adult now, and it's like I was still treating people like this, and um I I'm convinced that if I had stayed much longer, I either would have ended my own life, or I would have become a horrible person, just incapable of redemption. Like there would have been no turning back for me. Unfortunately, my sister has been there this whole time, and that kind of solidifies in my mind that theory that I probably would have been awful, because she does not believe me, especially about the sexual abuse. She can't really get around the physical abuse, but she does not believe me. She blames me for a lot of this stuff, that she like defends my mom in ways that I wouldn't, even like knowing what I know now. And Yeah, we don't really talk. Which sucks because I really like, and the thing is I told her once, um I don't care how much time passes, my door will always be open for you. And I I mean that and I meant that. And I fear that the day is going to come where she's going to want to reach out for whatever reason. And she's either going to be too angry at me or she's going to be too ashamed of how she treated me once she realizes that, like, I left for a good reason. And she does resent me a lot for leaving when I did. And that is something I don't really hold that against her. That's just something that eventually I know that she'll understand because she'll have lived with him for long enough. But it just sucks because we like missed out on that like sister bond that everybody talks about for good reason.
So not only did your parents ruin your childhood experience, their actions have basically broken your family branch off the tree.
Pretty much, yeah.
So now you're out here in this whole world with no family.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't talk to any of my extended family, really. I just went back to Jersey. I didn't see any of my siblings. Actually, no, I did see my brother. That was cool for like the first time in like 3 years. But like the thing is, like, my brother, he's 8 years younger than me. Um, and so I started leaving when I was 14. So he was
6.
6. Yeah. So like we already like didn't have much of a relationship anyway. So it was kind of like it was so weird like seeing him because like he never got older than 6 in my mind. So like he's taller than me now. He's got like deep voice. Like it was facial hair. Like you're 6. What are you doing? Like you take that off. But it was like talking to a friend basically, which is like it's good and bad because like it's bad in the sense that we don't have that like sibling kind of connection, but he also doesn't remember um the the chaos that was happening when I did happen to be home. So that's kind of nice. He doesn't really associate with me stuff like that the way that my sister does. But our sibling like dynamic all between all three of us is just it's affected forever. Like we're never going to have that relationship that we would have had if it hadn't been for all of that. And even me, it's I I can't imagine the kind of person that I could have been. I mean, I am very proud of myself for how far I've come and how much I've grown, but it's like there's a line in the Mom song where it goes, uh, and even though now you're gone, the damage still lives on, but they argue it made me who I am today. But that's what they've got wrong. A child needn't to be strong. I needed to be safe. It's like, well, yeah, I'm strong and I have so much to, like, I have so much strength to deal with whatever I face in life. But it's like a lot of the stuff I wouldn't be facing if it hadn't been for the things that forced me to be strong. So I don't buy that. I don't like when people say that. It's like, yeah, but it made you so strong. For what? For what? Oh,
People forget that women are created to be soft. People forget that women are created to nurture. We're not created to be the tough, handle it all, carry the burden. Just because we can
exactly.
doesn't mean
I
that we were created.
girl. I just okay, like so I went on a first date on Thursday. Hopefully he doesn't hear about this podcast. But like at one like I like I told him I was like yeah like because he was doing everything. Like he was like planning stuff and I told him like, yeah, like I really appreciate that because I mean, I made a joke. There's like, I can't wait to be a girlfriend one day because in my last relationship, I was the boyfriend. But like, I told him that like, yeah, like I'm very independent. Like but that's just because I've had to be like, and like I mean, to the point where like there was a point where I was hyper independent. It's like I just would not accept help, and that damaged me in a lot of ways. But I agree with you that like it's I'm just a girl. Like like I want to like be soft and sweet and caring, and but it's like when you have to do everything by yourself, like where do you have room to be in the world that we live in now? It's like I got to watch my back when I'm walking through a parking lot. I'm not going to be sweet and cute. I'm going to be worse than the average man to deal with, like especially as a female like music artist. Is like that's a whole other episode, but like yeah, I'll just say this because now I'm in like a place in my career where like sometimes like female musicians, singer songwriters will like approach me who are just starting to try to break into the scene, asking for advice. The first thing I always say is these men will expect you to be sweet and polite and nice. You need to be worse than the average man because often difficult to work with means difficult to take advantage of. Be difficult to work with. And I've gotten the, oh, well, you don't want to burn bridges. First of all, I don't want those bridges. Let them burn. If somebody's going to treat me that way, like what bridges? Like what value is in that? But also you are setting a precedent for how you're going to allow yourself to be treated, and people talk. So people are going to know that you're a pushover, so you have to make it very clear from the beginning. And like like you have to put up with some disrespect to get hit. No, you don't. Because those same people that told me that, not to like toot my own horn, but people actually listen to my music. People don't listen to their music because they wanted those short-term benefits of whatever illusion of an opportunity that they were offered. And now they're kind of stuck because now they're forever associated with somebody who is known to be either a predator or just exploiting artists. And that's a whole other abusive relationship on its own. But just being a woman in the world and like having to navigate all of that, like how to act, how you're going to be perceived, how the way you act might be perceived completely differently from women versus men too. Like women can be extremely misogynistic in the music community and in general too. I'm sure you know this. Don't tell anybody this. But like I'm a lover girl. I'm a romantic. You know exactly. You get it.
Yes.
So. Exactly. But it's like I've gotten to the point where I have this song. It's unreleased, but it's a conversation between two friends based on a real conversation I had with my friend after the breakup, where we're kind of catching up, and it's a duet. So he goes, I know you'll find the one. And I go, I'm not so sure. I don't know if I can trust the way I did before. And he goes, but you're a hopeful romantic. And I go, you know me so well, but how lucky am I to love my life more than love itself? And it's like, how lucky am I to be able to say, like, how many women do you know who, like, especially women, people do this in general, but especially women who put their career or their education on hold for love or to get married or to have children. Like, it's because fundamentally they value that partnership or the label of having a partner, which is like so glorified. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but it's given way more importance than it should. They gave that value over their own potential. And like, how lucky am I to be able to say that despite how much of a lover girl I am and how romantic I am, I'm willing to put that part of my life on hold to maintain what I've been building so far. It's like, how many people get to say that with conviction, you know? I'm like getting a little emotional just talking about it, but like,
Girl.
like I'm so lucky. Do I deserve to be here? Yes. Should I be? Absolutely not. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's crazy how like so many people have like the mom song is the most streamed song of my entire discography, like by a landslide, like by a ton of streams. And it kind of goes to show like how many people like so my friend is a musician slash he's trying to get into content creation. We were talking about it, and there are like nuances when you're a musician, especially like how to approach social media. And I told him that, and I promise this goes back to what we were talking about, but I told him that I think the reason the mom song has done as well as it has is because I reached a niche of people who were underrepresented, and I was also talking about something very taboo, very openly and very shamelessly. Because it should not be something to be ashamed about. The whole, oh, but they're your parents, like you can't, like, well, you only have one mom. It's like, well, they only had one me, like, and that didn't matter. So just like kind of like validating that, like, yeah, I have sympathy towards my mom, but also her. Like, those two things can exist at the same time. Like, I think, like, it's the reason that song and that content has done so well is because those people, like, it's that, oh my God, someone finally said it. Like, or even more importantly, didn't say the opposite. And like, it just goes to show like how many people experience this in silence. And sometimes the only outlet they have is just some on Spotify, just like using her mom's voicemail in a song, like, and sometimes, I mean, and when I was gonna release that song, like, I had no idea with a song like that, you have no idea what the reception is going to be. So it was kind of bittersweet to see the reception, because it's like, oh my gosh, you relate to my song, but it's also like, oh my gosh, you relate to my song. It's such a widespread thing and people don't talk about it. And that's like part of why, like, this kind of stuff is like, people weren't listening to me because they couldn't hear me. And the way that you get heard nowadays is social media, or music. Like, people, it's kind of hard to ignore somebody who's like on a stage in front of a mic with a guitar, like singing a song. So I feel like people came for the music, but then they stayed for the message. And that like really means a lot to me, because when I was writing these songs, like, I was not writing them for anybody. Like, I didn't know that these songs were I started like writing songs when I was 18, like, homeless shelter. Like, I didn't think that anybody would hear these. So when anybody ever tells me like, your song like made me feel less alone, like, people don't realize that when they're telling me that, they're actually making me feel less alone, because I didn't write this for you. Like, I appreciate it so much, but the fact that you connect to something that was not meant for you, it's like, I'm not the only one.
I told y'all she's a firecracker.
Whatever.
Listen, all these fireworks. Listen. Come on, y'all. This is
little me.
hard too, but this is wild and amazing.
Thank you.
I enjoy most about, we haven't even gotten into the other half, but what I enjoy this moment is the fact that you've been through what you've been through, and we haven't even had this type of conversation on the podcast yet. So from your childhood up until 19, we touched on it a little bit in other episodes, but it was never this, it doesn't sound good to say this, but this is how it is. It wasn't this rich. Like, it wasn't this raw. It wasn't this saturated. It wasn't this real. It wasn't this amount of information that needed to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
Then for it to go from that to where you are now, and how it's the perfect representation of this show. The purpose of this show is to educate, empower, and encourage. The purpose of this show is to not only help people who are ignorant to what abuse is, because like you mentioned before, people wrap it up in the word discipline, but it's abusive. And that's just from a parental standpoint. But for people who don't understand or are ignorant to what abuse is, and then also for the people who are in silence, who, like your mom, made it to the point of going to court and then backing out, because I think I can't think for her, but imagine it wasn't just about giving up the lifestyle. I think it was less about giving up the lifestyle and more about the fear of not knowing what life is like on the other side.
She got married when she was 23 and my dad was 24. She did not have, she hadn't lived as a young woman yet, as a young single woman. It's like she never lived by herself. I am the first woman in my entire lineage to have lived without a man. And I don't take that for granted.
That's wild.
I broke it.
And that's what we do around here.
Right?
We breaking cycles.
Exactly.
Y'all, listen, people don't comprehend the fear of leaving. Here's what I learned from my experience. Until the fear of staying outweighs the fear of leaving, you're never going to leave.
Yeah.
And the fear of leaving it looks like so many different things for some people it is, I won't have this social status. For some people it is, I won't have this lifestyle. For some people it's, I don't know what I'm going to do because he's abusing me, but technically he's also providing for me. And I don't know what it's going to look like to try.
And they rely on that. The abuser relies on that. The whole leaving thing is people don't realize a lot of the time, unless they've done the reading or the research or whatever, the moment a woman especially decides to leave an abusive relationship, her risk for her children, her family, her friends just skyrockets, because then it's okay, now the abuser has nothing left to lose. How do people act when they have nothing left to lose? There's also that factor where it's for some people it applies a little more than others, but that's why whenever somebody is, you were mentioning earlier, it's speaking out or telling somebody while you're in that situation still, it's not just scary, it's actually very dangerous. Not in it's the right thing to do, but that doesn't make it safe. And that's why when people get online and start bashing their ex or their partner while they're still in the relationship, I'm just oh my God, please don't do that. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship, but it's maybe you don't know the statistics, but and I was even I still I deal with triangulation basically from my ex a year later. It never goes away. So people think that once you leave, you're out. If that abuser, especially if they're a narcissist, you will never be rid of them. Forget it if you have kids with them.
Listen.
You would know.
Well, I mean, luckily for me, I was able to go to court and I have certain things in place. But I mean, it's still going to be, there's still always some form of way of trying to control the situation, even when all your control has been taken away. It's amazing what lengths you will go to have some kind of control as a person who's an abuser or a narcissist. I mean, just like you said, that is the most dangerous time. And I hate what I see. And I don't know if it's because of the groups that I'm in on Facebook or because I do post about the podcast, but so much information where I just saw this this mom and her two children were taken by the husband and the father, and then he killed himself. And so it's like, was it one of those situations where she was fed up and she had enough and she's like, I'm leaving, but instead of having a plan, it was, I'm telling you I'm leaving and I don't realize how far gone you are. And so
Yeah.
because I don't have a plan and I'm telling you to my face confidently, to your face confidently, they're gonna show what they're capable of.
Yeah. And by then it's too late. And then it's, oh, why didn't she leave earlier? Well, I wonder why. Like, and it's always back on the woman. And it's like the whole, like, oh, why didn't she leave? Why did you say, why did he hit her?
Mm-hmm.
Why did he control her financially? Why, and it's also methodical too. Like most of the time, it's extremely strategic. Like they cover all their bases to make it harder and harder. And it's like, why is all of it on the woman? Why is it always on the victim? It's because of misogyny. It's because we don't want to believe women.
Like, oh, no, we should know better. We were the ones who got
Where's that feminine intuition now? Go f*** yourself, dude.
We got in the relationship. We stayed in the relationship. We should have known better. Like for me, like you said, like the meticulous, they're brilliant at creating this web that makes, like, the longer you're there, the harder it's going to be to get out.
And they're also very good sometimes at acting dumb to the outside. Sometimes I only say sometimes because it's like, this has just been my experience, so I don't want to generalize, but like he's just like incompetent, like he just doesn't like, but somehow everything is perfectly orchestrated to where people don't believe me. People think I'm crazy. People think that it's, and anybody with like, and I think the thing is, I think a lot of people do believe the victim. They just want to stay out of it. And I think like a lot of this culture of individualism that has kind of overtaken like us in the last, I mean, I think it's always been a thing. But especially with like social media now, it's like and like the weaponization of therapy speak, like, oh, it's my boundary that you can't dress like this, but even though, so you have this boundary now, God forbid you send a narcissist to therapy. Then all of a sudden you're the one that's violating boundaries, and you're the one gaslighting because like my ex like hit me once and I was crying and he told me that I was manipulating him by crying. Like, it's like, oh, I'm never sending him into therapy again.
Let's just go ahead
and the thing is, our gymnastics, what we consider mental gymnastics, it is second nature to them. That is their natural pathway of thinking, and it's insane. And sorry, yeah, I know we're running low on time, but I just needed to get that out too. Like, holy.
That is, you are articulating that very well.
Thank you.
Our mental gymnastics is their natural way of thinking, and it's wild because when you have I'm not going to call anybody insane, but when you have a sane mind and the hoops that you're going through, like for you to even try to comprehend how this makes sense to them is like head-bangingly numbing. And you're trying to, they will literally, like you just said, you hit me, I'm crying, and now you're making me feel like I'm the one that's in the wrong for having the response to the action that you chose to do.
Classic textbook, even. Like, sorry, yeah.
It just, I don't understand. I will never understand how they convince themselves that that makes sense. How they've laid the foundation and the brick by brick so that you, like, in my case, you start like I started questioning, like, am I crazy?
Start recording your
am I tripping?
conversations to make sure that you're
There was, oh my God, listen, it's
twin.
like, because you say something, it's like, I know I heard you say what I heard you say, but you're telling me you didn't say it. And you're so convincing that did I make that up? It's just, I'm like,
Or you're saying it differently from how I said it. That's not what I meant. That's like
that part,
we're the same person. But here's the thing about like what you had said, like the whole like not getting like how you could kind of draw those like narratives so quickly. Like I kind of take a little comfort in that. It's like, well, the reason that I could never understand is because I would never treat somebody that way unless I like built a fucking blueprint like on my computer. Like if I didn't do that, then I couldn't just by default treat somebody that way on autopilot. And like I feel like there's some like comfort in that. It's like, okay, like despite this is all I've known for so long, like I'm okay. Like I have a serial killer backstory, but like I don't treat people that way. And a lot of people would, and a lot of people do. And that's like the whole cycle of abuse. And like there is some comfort in just knowing that like, well, I don't get that. Good. That means you're okay.
Yeah. That means you are ahead of, I don't know what kind of far ahead of it, but you're ahead of the trauma in some shape, form.
Yeah.
You have the capacity and the wherewithal to know that, not only know that this is wrong, but know that I'm not going to continue the cycle. That you're breaking cycles, being the first person to like just stand up and actually love yourself more than you love. And that just goes back to even some people, wanting love for the status, for the title. Some of them is just for the idea of it, like the idea of having a partner or the idea of spending your life with somebody. It's a whole lot of people out here celebrating 35th, 45, 65 anniversaries, and I don't want no parts of what they did.
Yep.
I don't want no parts of what you endured to be able to say we stuck it out and stayed together. No.
And I think like a lot of it is like there's so much you'll even see it online. It's like whenever I post about like enjoying being single, and like even though I am a romantic, I do want that stuff, like I am okay just like if I meet somebody, great. If I never meet somebody, also great, because that just means I have better going on. That it's like I feel like there's been so much like women's worth is placed so much on their relationship status, and it's like, oh well, there must be something wrong with you if you're single. There must be like, have you considered that like maybe there's this I'm a huge fan of stand-up, and there's this one comedian, Daniel Sloss. I think the special was Jigsaw, and it was called Jigsaw, and he was explaining how his dad would tell him that life is a puzzle. You have on the outer corners your job, your career, your hobbies, and then the middle piece that puts it all together is your life partner. And then Daniel Sloss said that he realized as he was older, he was like, for his dad, his mom was the middle piece. That doesn't mean that that's the middle piece for everybody. And funny enough, he said in an interview later that after that special came out, it caused like 4,000 like couples to break up. Because, and like, he was saying how, like, if you find a piece and you're trying to like force it in, eventually it's just not going to work. And like, and if some, and also like, I'm never going to have a normal dating life. Like, I actually told that guy on the first date, it's like, the way that my career is going is like anytime soon, it's like I'm not going to have like a traditional kind of like the way my work schedule is. He works a pretty 9 to 5, like so like if somebody doesn't fit like the way that I need them to maintain everything else, I wish you the very best. If they want kids one day, I wish you the very best. And that's also like that's always such a hard thing to have to deal with when like you meet somebody who's amazing for you in every way but that. But like that's not something that and I'll never like deal with a man who like, oh, I'm not sure about kids, but like maybe not. No, it's way easier for men to change their minds about that than it is for women. So, I wish you the very best. And
That's all you can do.
right.
That's all you can do. So let's talk about him then. Let's talk about homeboy. So
Oh,
you live,
God.
you survive your childhood, you graduate high school, you move in, you couch surf for a year, you get help, you get to a place where you're starting to build Val's life
Yeah.
in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
How long after you move out of your friends or off your friend's couch to meeting Mr. Incredible?
Oh, whatever. So, I mean, okay, like, so oh my God. So I moved into the shelter when I was 19, and then I think I was 21 or 22 when because I had been going to a 4 year school by now, and then COVID hit, so that was like a whole crazy thing because like the campus was evacuated, and I was like, this is my permanent address. I don't have anywhere to go. Like, so I was given an exception where I could stay on campus with like all the other international students who couldn't get back home. And then I graduated. But then I was like living in a room in a house, like in a neighboring town, so I could commute and everything. Um, and then I was in my first relationship. Then I was, no, I was in my first relationship like right after high school. That was messy. Really abusive, just like toxic. And then the first relationship I was in after that was actually abusive. Actually, sorry, I don't, I know we've been going like so long, but, he like, it's just awful. And like, honestly, I don't even really remember much of it because it was like so long ago, but, um, I, I like I had so this was after I moved to Charlotte. So it was like 5 years after we had broken up, but I knew that he was dating somebody, but like he wouldn't tag her in any of his posts, so I couldn't find her. Finally, one day he slipped up and he posted for her birthday. No, not for her birthday. It was the day before my birthday. I saw the tag. Immediately I messaged her. I'm like, hey, so this man, like, he was abusive towards me. He sexually assaulted me. Like, he, like, gave her the rundown. And she was like, tell me more. Like, thank God, because I have had to, like, send really awkward DMs to girls before, like, hey, girlie, you don't know me, but your boyfriend was hitting on me, or like we kissed, or like we, whatever, I didn't know he had a girlfriend. And I would get like reprimanded because internalized misogyny. But she was really like listening, and turns out he had been cheating on her like with multiple women, including me. I didn't know at the time, like, because they'd been together for a while at that point. Um, and she just she just celebrated like a year with the love of her life, somebody different. And she left because I finally, like, he had to admit that he was cheating and that he had also treated women like this in the past. And at first he tried, but so that happened. But there was a girl before him who I had seen on social media, but at that point she had a fiance and she was pregnant. And like, so at that point I was kind of like, let me not. Like, she's clearly in a good place. Like, I don't want to like remind her of like, but then one day I eventually like I reached out. I was like, hey, like, you probably don't know me, but I was like I dated for you, and I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for what you went through. Like, I don't know what you went through, but I know that I should be sorry for it. And she was like, yeah, like that was like he was awful. Like, so now we're just like the opposite of his fan club now. Like, we're just like, but could have been me. That's one of the songs off my EP. I wrote that about like that situation where it was like I went from the I call it the pick me girl to the compassionate girl's girl pipeline song, where it started as that should have been me. That should have been me. Like, she could never be me, to that could have been me. Like, there's a plot twist at some point in the song. I sent it to both of them. I was like, this one's for y'all. And like, just female solidarity in times like these is just so precious. And like, we were able to kind of like bond over that. And it's like, that's why it's like whenever something like happens, it's like, I'm never afraid to, because at least I did my part. That like, I know that like she has all the information that she needs. She can like informed consent, essentially. Like, she didn't have that before, she does now. Now she can do what she wants with that information. If that includes blocking me, that is up to her. But yeah, it's women are amazing.
I
Yeah.
think that that's very noble of you, because even when you get in it, I mean, for the most part, just like your dad and just like most of them, from what I'm learning outside of my own personal experience, even when you get involved with someone, they're not showing, you're only seeing the representative. They're not showing you who they actually are until they feel like
She
you've
told
got.
me the text messages, the screenshots that I had sent her, that basically that he was cheating on her with me at that time. She was like he has never shown any signs that he would even think this way, let alone speak to somebody this way. Like, there were no signs, and I fully believe her. Like, it really comes out of nowhere. Sometimes like men can like fake their entire personality for like a decade and then switch up the moment the woman gets pregnant. Like, it's a total mind, and it just makes it even harder to be believed.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. It's the for someone to be narcissistic, abusive, and short-tempered, they often have a lot of patience before they show that side. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
showing how patient they can be to build up this facade before. It's like, how are you not exploding when I now know how you wish you would have been acting this many months or years prior to.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, you meet him, and I imagine he was charming, he was lovely.
Mm-hmm. That was the first relationship. I mean, the second relationship. Like, like we met on a dating app. We were just, it was casual. We were just hooking up for a while. And then finally he, like, in a very indirect way, I kind of found out that I was his girlfriend. And I was like, I was young. I didn't know that that was kind of like a way to see what I'm willing to question and like kind of like fight back on. I didn't know that at the time. But then he actually broke up with me because I had become pretty combative and like argumentative, basically, like not letting it slide anymore. And so he left me, and then I stayed single for like 3 years after that because absolutely fucking not. And then I met somebody who dated for about 4 months, and he was actually like really great. It just like there were just certain like personality differences that like there's no bad blood between us. And then I met the most recent boyfriend, who not. And then I met somebody who dated for about 4 months, and he was actually like really great. It just like there were just certain like personality differences that like there's no bad blood between us. And then I met the most recent boyfriend, who like I that is still like one of the most like traumatic things. Like despite like all that we've talked about, it's like he he started off like just pursuing me. I was not interested. But it's like, oh, but he's such a nice guy. Why don't I give him a chance? Even though my gut was kind of like something's off, but maybe that's just my trauma talking. Like I was basically gaslighting myself. And we moved in together about a month after we started dating just because like our living situations were both really screwed up. I don't regret that because I saved a ton of money. Charlotte rent is expensive. But that's when, and from, we're both musicians, and for like, it was like the little comments, because he was more technically skilled than I am, like musically. So he'd make little comments like, "Oh, you tricked me. I thought I was dating a musician. I'm actually dating a businesswoman." And if I ever had any like negative reaction to that, oh my God, I'm just joking. Like, of course. Then it was the weaponized incompetence, the ruining my clothes when he knows the settings that I put on the washer and dryer. Like just little tiny things like that, which are like enough, like plausible deniability. It's like, okay, well, maybe he's just dumb and doesn't know. He does. And then there were two times where he pulled out an unregistered firearm and threatened to kill me and himself if I left him because I was threatening to leave. The second time it happened, he pulled it out and I swung on him. And like I hit him in the face. And of course,
hang on. Before we get into this altercation.
Sure.
Unregistered.
Yeah.
Women don't understand, because homeboy over here had a felony, so he couldn't have his own gun. But there were multiple times where he was saying, we need to go to the shooting range. We need to get a gun for the house, which I'm glad never happened.
Yeah.
What we don't know is that when there is a weapon present on the premises, the likelihood of the person being abused losing their life is astronomical.
Yeah.
And so for anyone who's listening to this right now, if you are in a situation or a relationship where your gut is telling, even if the abuse isn't physical and it's not happening yet, but you feel something's not right and there are weapons around, just check out.
Yeah.
If abuse is happening and there are weapons around, you need to get a plan ASAP. Without, like you said, without divulging information, because as you see, once you threaten to take away the thing that they have control over, why do they care about you anymore? I mean, care about you already.
True colors, yeah.
You know, but why would they not want to do more threatening and more fear tactics and more craziness when they have a weapon? Like, there's a time.
And to anyone also like listening, the like, oh, but it's like I trust him to not do that. That is what I'm sure every single woman who has lost their life in that way also thought. Like you think you're the exception to the rule until it's too late. And there's no shame. It doesn't mean you don't love the person. It doesn't mean you don't even trust the person. It's just like covering your bases, because you genuinely never know who somebody is, unfortunately, or what they're capable of, or who they will be, or who they're pretending to be currently. Like you just can't know. And like you have to retroactively protect yourself.
Yeah. If there are signs of any kind of unhealthy relationship stuff going on and there's a weapon on the premises, just don't even.
Yeah.
Just be out, because it's going to happen. You just don't know if it's going to happen with you or somebody else, and you don't know how far down the line it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If he can do anything, spit on you, shove you, like anything that's aggressive and touching you in a way that's not loving, you better believe he can pull a trigger.
A man who is capable of calling you a bitch is capable of killing you. I am a firm believer of that. Like, you, like, to call, like, that, like, that's a hot take, but like, I'm pretty firm in that. It's like, if a man is going to call you he has the capability of taking your life or putting his hands on you at the very least, because that's such a violent, gendered term to call somebody that you love, allegedly.
That we love.
Yeah.
Okay, so we back in action. The second time you was like, I don't give a flying flip.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I had felt so guilty about that because I was telling my best friend about it, and he already knew. I think, like, and I'll get into that, but like, I told him, I was like, and he saw the way that I was talking about it, and he was like, hey, Val, I know what you're thinking. You are not your dad for hitting him. Like, and he told me how, like, because he told me that, like, when a mentally unstable person pulls out a weapon, you start swinging and you ask questions later. You do not know what that person is going to do. You don't know if they're bluffing. You don't wait to find out. You protect yourself and then you figure out the rest later. You did the right thing. But of course, after the breakup, he was telling people that I hit him, leaving out some very key context. And then later on, he was drunk, and I still loved and cared about him, even though we were no longer together. He'd moved out already, and he was getting into his car to drive away, plastered. I didn't want him to drive drunk. I didn't want him to get hurt. I didn't want him to catch a charge. I tried to stop him, and he threw me down into the gravel and nearly broke my arm. I took pictures just in case. And that's actually when he told me that I was crying to manipulate him. And this is something that I look back on and I have conflicted feelings about, but I then took him back to the place that we used to live at, and I let him sleep in our bed because I didn't want him to get in trouble. And then later on, he used that against me. He was like, oh, well, if I was so abusive, then why did you... And that is such a demented way of thinking. It's like, you're using the fact that I showed you compassion after you were an asshole to me as a justification for how you treated me. Like, but if I hadn't done that, then I would have been seen as the cone-stoled crazy ex. So there really was no winning. So, like, looking back, that's why I kind of had conflicted feelings, because, like, no matter what I did, I would have lost. But people still don't believe me about that, even though I have pictures, even though they're literal screenshots of him admitting to doing it. Like, people just, because it's easier to just, oh, well, you could have just left. He had a gun. I learned that pretty quickly the first time I tried to leave. And so that ended, and I'm still, like, dealing with, like, his antics. So I was working on, like, 4 different projects early last year. And then all of this went down on social media. We had, like, a public thing. And I poked my head out of the vocal studio, the vocal booth, because I was literally in the studio as this was going down. I was like, hey, I have an idea, to my producer. And we started working on an instrumental for a new song, a song called Dark, that I had written when my ex and I had first met. And then I rewrote it as a duet between us when we started dating. And then I rewrote it, and it is now called Hard to Love. And I had everybody who has ever been involved in my ex's music career at that point on that song. So Jay Hoff sings on it, and then Chris, my producer, co-produced it with me. And the name of the song is called Hard to Love because Hard to Love is actually the name of the duo that we were supposed to start together. And that was kind of my, like, no one's believing me. So let me just tell the story in the way that I know best, which is through songwriting and music. Because again, people aren't listening because they're not hearing me. They don't care. I'm going to make them care with a banger melody and like harmony, whatever. And then, so that's my second most streamed song. I think a lot because of the story behind it, because of a lot of my following are survivors of that kind of stuff. But on September 5th, this isn't a plug. I promise it's relevant. But I'm releasing an acoustic solo version of the song, where the original version, some of the lyric changes. It's like, I hope that you take over Charlotte and get everything you ever wanted just to find nothing's ever enough. The new version goes, so much for taking over Charlotte, you got everything you ever wanted just to find nothing's ever enough. And like, just writing the new version, it was so cathartic for me because like I showed it to my best friend, the same one who like had told me, it's like, no, you did not do anything wrong. You actually did the right thing by acting the way you did. He told me, he was like, this song, it's what I imagine healing sounds like. And that really meant a lot to me. And he also, I think this is important for like people to hear, that apparently none of my friends liked him while we were together. And I chewed my best friend out. I was like, why didn't you tell me? He was like, honey, you were being love bombed. Like, I knew that trying to like talk any sense into you at that point, it was just going to like make you more and more isolated. I just wanted to be here until like when you like realized for yourself, I've seen this before. Like there was no way that I was going to be like, I could be there for you for when you kind of realized on your own. But and I'm very lucky to have the friends that I have. And like I don't, I'm just very lucky. Like I don't like genuinely like having a support system is so important. And like I was just watching a TikTok video of this woman who her friend was like, her new man was showing like very obvious like early signs of DV. Like isolation, like kind of like making people uncomfortable in social settings to like put some like, hey girl, like he's kind of, so she'd defend him and then they'd get fed up with her and then like it's the like textbook again. And I like there were comments where it was like, please do not cut her off. Like these are the early signs, and if the abuse hasn't started yet already, it's going to. And like don't leave her alone. Like, and like I was so glad that was like the top comment, because like that means that people are aware of this now in a way that they weren't before. And I think social media has been like really great at like kind of educating people, even though like there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of like manipulation of that kind of sphere. But that just, yeah, like don't leave your friends if they're in an abusive situation. Like if it's, as long as it's not harming you in like a really significant way, if it's annoying to hear about the stuff that like she's going through, that's just stick it out. She's going to need you. She's going to need somebody. And like most people aren't aware of that. And by the time the person realized,
and action.
So we just got cut off, like rudely interrupted by my MacBook battery, but
But we're back.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. But yes, I totally agree with you, Val, what you're saying. Like because before I get to what you agree with, I also have something else that you've agreed with way earlier in the conversation. Just when you post certain things on social media, you have so many guys coming in the comments, really, truly revealing their own insecurities, their own toxicity, when they feel the need to attack somebody for a post that they made. You don't even know anything about me.
Yeah. just the
So
assumptions and like it's flooded. It's such a like I think like content creation, like it's real, especially when I like became more vocal about like feminist issues and like things about DV and like sexual assault and abuse and everything. Like I don't think, like I always knew it was a problem, but I don't think anything could have prepared me for how widespread, especially now that people can be anonymous and like make their like I'll just say this. Like, I made this reel once where I said, it's so funny to me how whenever I make a post or a reel speaking about men's harassment or abuse or just in general, just like bad behavior, I always get just keep this offline, like take it to the police, as if that helps. Um, which I'm not discouraging anybody from seeking like legal recourse, but also that's also a very nuanced thing. It's like you don't know if you're going to be taken seriously, like as you said like earlier on here, like they're going to show up, and if nothing is really done swiftly, like things can escalate pretty quickly. Also, we don't need to talk about DV rates among law enforcement because
oh my God.
um but like I said how it's so funny how I always get those comments. But I never, but the men that I'm talking about, they never get the comments of, oh, you should go after her for defamation or slander. So I'll tell you the reason they don't come after me. It's because in order to prove defamation or libel or slander, you need to prove that the statements that are being made are false. They know they can't do that. That's why they don't come after me. And the thing is, the men who comment those things on my, they already know that. They already know that the guy probably did that. That's why they're not bringing it up. And they're just telling on themselves that it's like they are angry at me for speaking up because I'm I'm like encouraging, I'm like making it so that other survivors know that, oh, I can do that and I will have support, because I do have a ton of support online. I have a ton of hate, but I also have a ton of support. And it scares them because now I'm also like, they can't, victims aren't blaming themselves anymore the way that they did before. Before, like they were more easily educated on, hey, this actually isn't your fault. This is actually like a cycle. Like there's a psychological term for this and that, and like, and and there's so many men that follow me that also like they agree with me and they appreciate the content, and it doesn't even come close to how many men fucking hate me for it. And like it just goes to show that like it's still a huge problem, and there's so many men who want to silence women and keep us like quiet about it and just tolerate it and be afraid of it. And it's all interlinked. It's like, why do you think men use the whole, oh, you're gonna be end up alone, a bitter old cat lady. It's like, don't threaten me with a good time. But
Baby,
like
hear
the
me.
reason, like kitty cats, but
I
the reason that they do that is projection, is because they know their worst fear is ending up alone. So they assume that is the case for women too, even though this is what we're choosing at this point a lot of the time. So like the reason, they just assume that that's everybody's worst fear, and it's not. And the women, like from like an evolutionary standpoint, we have just been better at building community like amongst each other. A lot of the time it like as a means of survival, but like we've just been better at it, so we have those communities already. We're not going to end up alone. We have our friends, we have our communities. Men don't have that in the same way that we do, and it terrifies them. And all they need to do is just be better, and and a lot of them are. But it's also like a lot of the good men, they don't do anything. Like they don't talk to their boys. Like Daniel Sloss, something else that he said during one of his specials was he was talking about like his friend who was raped, his female friend, and he was saying how um, like like, I get it that it's not all men. I believe in my heart that most men are good, but if there is one man who's like hurting somebody and there are 9 other men that aren't like stepping in, they might as well not fucking be there. Those were his exact words. And he was like, talk to your boys. I like instead of, I can quote this because I've seen it so many times, that like instead of all this big talks like I'm gonna go beat up a rapist, prevent one. I know it's possible because I know how I fucking failed at it. Like, I'm quoting him verbatim. Um, and like I think it's like so important for like men to talk about this stuff, because a lot of the time men will only listen to other men. That's why I don't believe in the whole no uterus, no opinion. Like, no, that's not helping us, because these men clearly aren't listening to women. It hasn't worked. And it's also like, don't alienate the men that like want to be good. It's like is it the bare minimum? Sure, but it's not the standard. So let's like at least appreciate, like, instead of like just, well, you were supposed to do that anyway. But most of them aren't. So
Okay, so we've made it through the relationships. You, which I love, and I hope that it encourages and inspires other women to do this who have been abused by someone who has now, who they've cut ties with, and they still happen to be following on social media. Like, I don't have the ability to save the next girl. I
mhm.
don't have that luxury because homeboy was really, he made is crazy. Like, I found out that I went to college and had a class with his ex-wife's brother, and we weren't really close after UAB, but I mean, we still had, connection. And I can remember he's like, you need to block him because just his meaning or reasoning behind it was, of course she's crazy. I can't prove this or not because I've never even talked to the woman, but
Yeah.
she's crazy, and there's no telling what she could be saying to him, and then blah blah blah, and they might be looking at our stuff. So whatever reason they give you, and you've allowed yourself to be convinced. So of course I blocked him, and I'm like, I blocked homeboy on social media too, because even after I left, like, then you pop up on my stuff talking about I'm proud of you. Like, what are you proud of? I don't need your pride.
Yeah.
I don't want any of your pride. Your pride has destroyed too many families. I don't,
Mhm.
and so I blocked him because it's like, don't come following me now when we were
Yeah.
together. You didn't do what you were supposed to do as the leader of this family. And
Mhm.
so I don't know what, whatever it is, but he's so private that if he is with somebody else, or when he does get with somebody else, it's definitely going to be probably already blocked, my content, because
Right.
content is now your content, which is, I'm inspiring, but I'm also speaking the truth. And at this,
Yeah.
I have the confidence to not be concerned with what your family thinks about me, what you think about me. I'll be the villain in your story. If that's cool with you, I'm cool with it too, boo. And so I'm sure that in the future, I won't have that opportunity, but maybe with this podcast, with this show, we can help somebody else, or maybe
Yeah.
it does reach the person that couldn't potentially be his next victim. And I love that you're willing to be the villain in someone else's story, because it does take that awareness to step out and say, hey sis, you can take this how you want to, but I would feel like I'm just as guilty as anyone else who didn't step in and help me.
Mhm.
I don't give you the opportunity to know what you would be dealing with.
And I think also something else that like has made my my content, this was kind of, it wasn't an intentional thing, but I have not come off as the perfect victim, because I am not the perfect victim. I have made mistakes too. Um, but that's most victims, and I think a lot of victims are ashamed of like coming forward and quote unquote being the villain, because they may have done villainous things. Because whether it was reactive abuse or not, it's like if you did something wrong, that doesn't mean it's okay for you to have been treated the way that you were. And a lot of the rhetoric is that, well, like you could have done this, or you should have done this, or well, you did this, so of course, like, like, I think the fact that um I didn't try to embellish. It's like I made a reel like exposing everything about my ex, like with screenshots and like text over like the pictures of the bruise, everything. And I included the fact that I hit him. I included the fact that I was the one who tried to stop him from getting in his car, and then I took him home. I mean, to our like old home. Like I didn't hold back. I didn't, because one, I knew that like that would just be used against me, but also it's like, so what? Okay, and like, and I think like that, I mean, at least I hope that kind of like reminds women that like you are allowed to make mistakes and not deserve to be abused. Like you're allowed to be imperfect and you're allowed to make mistakes, and you're even allowed to be a piece of shit. That doesn't mean that someone can put their hands on you or like control you or anything. It's like nothing justifies that. Like if you hit somebody back in self-defense, that's one thing, but otherwise, no.
Facts. Real,
Yeah.
raw, unfiltered, unadulterated facts. Just how we like it. Because in reality, we're all human. We're all experiencing this life for the first time. And yes, we are all going to make mistakes. But as you so beautifully laid it out, just because I make a mistake or you make a mistake doesn't give anyone else the authority, right, or privilege to put their hands on you and then defend their actions when it wasn't indeed in self-defense. If you need to defend yourself in self-defense, that's a whole nother story. But we ain't talking
Yeah.
about it on this show.
Exactly. And that's
People
of
who
course
are
what the comment section is all going to be. Like
like,
and just the other thing is the whole like let's say like I'm speaking, it's like, oh well, you didn't you did this though, and you did. Okay, so let me use your logic back on you. Why didn't he just leave? They don't ask them that. Instead of putting his hands on me, instead of emotionally abusing me, verbally abusing me, why didn't he just leave? He could have just left. Like, why did he stay as long as he did? Actually, like,
mhm.
I don't know. Like, maybe I mean, I think it says more about you than it does about her. That that's the kind of woman that you attract. And it doesn't work because it's not supposed to, because it's not true.
It it's not logical.
No.
But you're right.
And
It's never they never question the man's actions, inactions, or choices. Why didn't you walk away if she was that annoying? Or why didn't you leave if you felt like it was toxic? Or what were you trying to, and then even if they had the answer, it would be like, well, I'm just trying to make it work, or da da da, whatever it would be, whatever excuse
yeah,
it would.
so was she.
So I wholeheartedly love this conversation
Me
today
too. Me
because
too.
it's going to be a lot of toes stepped on. But the people that need to have this tucked away are going to find it, so that they know that you're not alone. Your feelings are valid. If it's something coming from your family, if it's somebody coming from a partner or an ex, everything you're going through. I think that we're so quiet too is because we don't really believe that surely nobody else has experienced this. It's like there's no way nobody else has really experienced this. Well, we have. It has been experienced on multiple.
Again, that's why the mom song has done so well. It's an underrepresented, like silenced group of people. Like same house, different room.
That's all it is. Same
Yeah.
ship, same partner, different makeup.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it is. Val, I told
Um.
y'all. I said, what did I say? I said you might need your chest harness for this one, baby. If you didn't have it on secure, I'm sorry, cause god darn, sis. Okay, before we go, I need to know what advice, really quick, about confidence do you have for anyone who's watching this show?
For confidence, like I said just a few moments ago, you do not have to have been perfect or have never made any mistakes um, to not deserve being abused by somebody that you love. And if you are planning to leave, um, uh, only tell the people that are directly involved in your escape plan. Do not speak to anybody else until you're out safely, except for the people that are helping you, of course. Um, and just, you don't owe them closure. You don't owe them a face-to-face conversation. You got the closure when they started mistreating you. Um, they're out of the house for an extended period of time. Pack, leave. Uh, you do not owe them a conversation. Nothing. Because I mean, you don't in general, but especially you don't know what they're capable of when that conversation happens, and it's just not worth it to appease and console somebody who's not giving you that same treatment. And it, again, as women, we want to nurture, we want to be, we don't want to be the bad guy. You're going to be the bad guy regardless, so you might as well stay safe while you do it. That's what I have to say.
That's good. So
Thank you.
how do we follow you, Val? Tell us all the things so we can get the
Yes.
downloads and the follow, what we need to stay in touch.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. On Instagram, I'm Val Mirza, VALMERZA. I'm on all streaming platforms. I like write about this stuff. A lot of it, I mean, I've literally quoted some songs on here. But I am Val Mirza on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, all that. I have a Patreon if you'd like to support me that way. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I have a new single coming out September 5th, which is like the acoustic solo version, the evolved, like mature version of Hard to Love that came out last year. So if you want to hear how I've grown and healed and kind of my perspective has changed on that whole situation, feel free to tune in. But yeah, thanks for having me. This has been, I didn't know what to expect. You never know what to expect, but like this was I wasn't expecting to be on here for this long, and I wouldn't have for like most of these things. So
I love it.
yes.
I love all of it. You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are strong. You are soft. You are a warrior. You are nurturing. You are loving. You are just, I love that your light is shining beyond the darkness that you were birthed into.
Thank
I
you so
love
much.
that the darkness, Dr. Martin Luther King said it, right? Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And so you are the epitome of not allowing the trauma that you endured to become the life version of who you are. You allowed your light to overcome the trauma, and now you're spreading light beyond your darkness. So, Val, we love you, sis. We appreciate you. We thank you. It was our privilege to have you on this show. And if y'all hung in here this long for this conversation, because it was a good one, we thank you.
And thank you for doing this. I don't think there are enough creators kind of running these kinds of stuff. So like, I mean, we appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I'm sure your listeners do. And just giving people a platform to talk and educate and encourage, like that's what this group of people we need. So thanks for filling that role a little bit.
When I tell you, it is a privilege to be able to have this space and to share it with amazing people such as yourself. Y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all know we had to rise above our insecurities, release the burdens of shame and guilt, revive our God-given power, purpose, and passion. Val, keep showing up, sis. Keep sharing your love, keep shining your light. And until next week, y'all know what it is. We gon' pew, 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 pew. Like one day I'm gonna actually get,
Your
a
energy is
DJ board with,
incredible. Oh my God. It's just amazing.
I'm gonna get this stuff to actually make the sounds.